Porque el remarriage también tiene que venir del sentido de tu poder tener un espacio y sentirte parte de tener tu casa. Y también ha sido empezar a soñar, ok, si estoy aquí, ¿qué es lo que yo deseo? Quiero mi cantito de tierra, porque es mi derecho y el derecho de nosotros tener nuestro cantito de tierra.
Saludos and welcome to the Remade Trading Borikin podcast, where we discuss the journey to the essence of these islands, this archipelago and her surrounding waters, the restoration of our essence before conquests and continued colonialism, the reclamation of our collective healing and liberation. I am Yasmin Hernandez, creator of Cucubanacion, artist, writer, activist, born and raised in Brooklyn, Remade Trading Borikin. In this episode, I share Maximilian Adrian, who I know from El Oeste, from Mayagüez, as an artist, activist, and just a brilliant spirit who has been part of the community at Cucubanacion, who I feel very blessed to have every time he comes by. This interview that I did of Max was recorded in the summer of 2023. It was, I believe, the first interview for the Remade Trading Borikin project that I did at that space. Cucubanacion being an art space dedicated to Boricua bioluminescence. The walls are painted black. So I had already set up the space. The back, I had wanted to create the sense that you were in the womb. Now I explain this, I digress for a second because I want to put into context how I come up with this very dark video where the sound is a little crazy. It is an honor to share these stories, and I do so with permission to share these stories. But ultimately, these interviews were recorded with the intention of having material that would inform a painted portrait. Yo no estaba grabando esto to have it be an actual podcast episode with great sound or a video with great visuals. It was meant to put the person in the space of a womb. When Max got there, I had like water sounds and a heartbeat in utero going. Así que el vibe de la entrevista es esa. And with that said, this interview is very much a Spanglish interview. This podcast episode is going up a little late. I usually say that I post around the new and full moons. We are now 3 days after this beautiful, beautiful moon, new moon in Cancer of June 25th, 2025. It is now June 28th, 2025. Today is the anniversary of the Stonewall riots. Pride being a movement started by trans people at the Stonewall riots, trans people who were later locked out of what became the gay rights movement, or the first pride parades where trans people were not really allowed to be centered in those spaces. I'm thinking about Sylvia Rivera, whose portrait hangs at Cucubanacion. So to have Max speak to the experience of being trans and what it meant for that experience in Puerto Rico versus in New York. Max is very generously sharing this intimate journey of his because he wants folks to know what he lived in the process of transitioning. A lot of people speak to rematriation as folks coming from the diaspora and arriving here to live as diaspora people. People who, of course, have their ancestral ties to the archipelago of Boriken, but who technically were born and raised or mostly lived their lives in the diaspora, coming here with that essence of diaspora. What I have learned in my experience is that rematriation runs the gamut of experiences, and it is us reconnecting in various ways. So Max's story is a very unique story as a person who was upended, like so many people were uprooted, as so many people were following Hurricane Maria, but then had the double threat of having survived this disaster, but then faced with this process of transitioning and needing to find that nest, that place that would allow for that to happen in the safest way. I think that is super important about this interview is letting it be known that folks struggle in New York. For Max to so openly state like, yo, the hustle in New York is real, speaking to the truth and the reality there. Es decir, Puerto Rico no es el único lugar donde se lucha, donde estamos en la brega, donde estamos buscando oportunidades, donde estamos buscando trabajo, donde estamos buscando vivienda. This is not the only place we struggle. It is very necessary to hear a voice of a person who left the struggle here, went over there, saw the struggle there, worked in solidarity with the community there, and then was guided back home to the archipelago with this new expanded awareness of what it is to be both things, what it is to be Boricua in the archipelago and what it is to be Boricua in the diaspora.
Max asked that I share this poem by Rupi Kaur that I think sets the tone for this journey that he shares. And for these times that we are living, and that the United States is living, and that Puerto Rico as its colony is living here as well. And this goes out to all of humanity, past, present, and future, that knows the experience of migration. They have no idea what it is like to lose home at the risk of never finding home again. To have your entire life split between two lands and become the bridge between two countries. This is from the poem Immigrant.
Me quedo sin trabajo. Me cancelan otra oferta de trabajo. Yo estaba viviendo en la metro, pero si no tenía trabajo iba a tener que regresar a Tillo. Mi familia ahora mismo vive en Atillo. Iba a tener que volver a vivir con mis papás y eso no era una posibilidad para mí porque no me sentía seguro. Plus, I was still in the closet as a trans person. Entonces, Puerto Rico, después del huracán, después de un momento como Huracán María, like I lost my car, I lost most of my stuff, belongings, it was, and I didn't feel that I was going to be able to connect with my chosen family. El pronóstico era como que, Max, you're going to go back to your house, and I don't have a good relationship with my parents. It wasn't so I contact my friends in New York, and I tell them, me quedé sin chavo, todo esto pasó, me quedé sin nada de esto. Lo más probable tenía que volver a vivir con mi familia, o puedo ir a Nueva York por 3 meses y terminar un contrato que me dejaron abierto y get some money and come back to PR. So they decided like, hey, you have a safe space here, you can come. Pero cuando llego a Nueva York, pasa en noviembre una situación con mi familia donde se enteran que soy una persona trans. And I felt that I couldn't come back to PR, that Puerto Rico wasn't a safe space for me. And I decided, oh well, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna have to stay in New York. So my parents, we had this big fight, and I was still a femme person. I still have my big hair. I still wore like feminine clothes. So en verdad era como, like I was still another person. I was still that other person. But they went through some boxes de las pocas cosas que yo pude salvar que no perdí del huracán. And they found my books, LGBT, trans, non-binary. They found some clothes that I used to sometimes change, to experiment how I felt with, wear mask clothes. Y de eso salió como una pelea y de ahí como que, de una cosa a la otra y la otra, como que they already were sospechando about me. So it wasn't safe for me to come because they would have done anything, hasta like conversion therapy. And I didn't have the safety. Like I didn't have money. I didn't have a car. I didn't have how to live. Y después de Huracán María, like there's no electricity, there's no water, there's no food. And I had a también tengo una condición que se llama PCOS, que se vio agravada por el tipo de comida que estábamos comiendo post huracán. So the other thing was that I needed to go to, like, estar en Nueva York me dio la oportunidad de, con el poquito dinero que yo tenía, poder comer mejor que lo que se estaba comiendo en Puerto Rico. Y era eso o llegar a Puerto Rico y ser violentado por mi familia. So I had to stay. And in that moment, even though it was my first winter in a big city, it felt like a more safe space que regresar a Puerto Rico. Y emocionalmente yo sentía que yo no podía volver. Como yo sentía que Nueva York era Nueva York o no puedo regresar a Puerto Rico. Porque tampoco mis compañeros y mi familia escogida no tenían los recursos para poder sustentarme. Y yo no tenía todavía la fortaleza emocional ni espiritual para sentir que podía vivir en Puerto Rico siendo yo como persona trans, incluso salir completamente del closet como persona trans. Yo transicioné inicialmente casi todo en Nueva York. Nueva York se sentía como this clean slate for me to be able to explore my gender identity. But it was hard as fuck to live in New York. Porque después de diciembre, pues yo no tenía una casa, yo me estaba quedando en el sofá de unas amigas, ellas se quedaron sin su contrato, entonces ahí me quedo sin casa en diciembre, me entero de lo de FEMA, solicito la ayuda de Transitional Shelter Assistance de FEMA y empiezo a vivir en pequeños hoteles, moteles, dentro de la ciudad, en Brooklyn. Yo no tenía un hogar seguro. No tenía trabajo. No tenía dinero. Y la cuestión con el Transitional Shelter Assistance de FEMA es que te renovaban semanal. Tú nunca vas a sentir la paz ni la tranquilidad de que tú, pues, por un mes ibas a vivir en un lugar seguro. Sino que todas las semanas tú tenías que esperar a que te aprobaran para la otra semana. Incluso antes de que a mí me aprobaran, y esto no lo sabe mucha gente, antes que a mí me aprobaran el Transitional Shelter Assistance, yo estuve unos días, un día y medio, en an MTA, waiting for the approval to be able to get to a room. Con la maleta y el coat, waiting for the approval. When I got approved, I went to the place and I stayed in that room. Viví en Williamsburg, en la comunidad Hasidic, y entonces nos movían los boricuas todo el tiempo, porque no, tú sabes, como que it was hard for us. That's when I started feeling the winter blues. And when I understood that I was depressed was like in February. I was like, oh, this is depression. The winter thing, the no sunlight, no stability, the anxiety of not knowing. So I decided to do like dos cosas. Yo había sido AmeriCorps por 3 años y me habían aprobado una beca. So yo fui a The New School y me matriculé en el programa de mejoramiento profesional. Like, you know, that the New School has Parsons, that is the School of Art, but it's not like an undergrad program. It's like not credit program that they have. Y me matriculé en una clase to be able to have access to the money de la beca. So yo me matriculé, me dijeron que tenía que matricularme en 3 clases. So yo me matriculé en esas clases, las pagué y pedí que me dieran todo el dinero adicional para poder entonces try to have, you know, like look for a place, have a deposit, or have food. Yo comía en la iglesia, buscaba la compra de las iglesias que dan cada cierto en la semana, que te dan la caja. La ropa era también de una iglesia por Harlem. Mis botas y mi ropa de invierno también yo estaba en todas las iglesias. ¿Cuál es la iglesia que está dando comida? Vamos para allá. So that's kind of my context of New York. Y la gente aquí en Puerto Rico no sabía que I was living all of that. People thought that I was doing my undergrad, like my master's. People thought, like, Max, you're doing great. Like, Facebook was like, wow, Max, estás en Nueva York. Y yo no. Tú sabes, incluso mis amistades de Nueva York, pues yo tengo amistades en Nueva York, no sabían el contexto de lo que yo estaba viviendo. Incluso a veces no fue hasta mayo que yo conseguí una casa, un espacio para rentar. So, yo estuve desde en early January, the 1st of January, pues yo me fui después de despedir el año, hasta mayo, en ese estilo. It was terrible. Like, I was in a room with bed bugs. I had to dejar un montón de cosas. Sí, no, la ciudad, wow. So I didn't decide to come back to PR. I came to PR on 2020 to be able to be part of el coloquio del otro lado. And I got invited para ser como artista invitado, para hablar de mi proyecto Girasoles, que nace de la necesidad en Nueva York. Entonces, me invitan, me dan un estipendio. I was going to do this conference in a room. Iba a montar mi mesa de girasoles para que la gente comprara de mi arte. Y me iba a quedar hasta de febrero a finales de marzo para no coger el invierno en esos 2 meses intensos. Y me iba a quedar en una residencia artística con taller lumpen y verba verde. But then COVID got here. And I felt that I felt it in my gut, you're not coming back to New York. I'm sorry, Max. No te despediste, no cerraste tu ciclo con Nueva York. You're staying in Puerto Rico. Because el epicentro de la pandemia era Nueva York. And I didn't have the stability. Like, yo trabajaba todo desde mi proyecto de girasoles de arte y mi meta siempre era poder pagar la renta de Nueva York, que es súper cara. So, yo no tenía a veces ni para comer. Yo a veces, o sea, como que I was really like hustling to be able to pay rent, to live in a space in New York. So I felt like the universe was like, Max, you're coming back to your land. You're not going back to New York. Your time has ended. Vamos a comenzar de cero y te vas a quedar en Puerto Rico. So it wasn't, yo siento que ni la salida y estadía permanente por 3 años en Nueva York no fue planificada, ni el regreso fue planificado. Yo siento que my ancestor moved me, like, okay, you need to learn some things, you're going to New York, and you need to be able to feel safe to transition. And then you're coming back. And it was hard to come back because I wasn't planning on coming back. I had the date for my surgery in Nueva York ya para mayo y no pude tener mi cirugía allá. Pero en la clara, Jasmine, I didn't have the stability to live in a city like New York. Like, I always was struggling. There's a reality about, like, we struggle, en los dos lugares we struggle. But New York, it's some type of struggle that, wow, it's hard. And the coldness, es como, winter is, depression is like really out there. Yo no siento que yo he tenido episodios de ansiedad y, you know, I struggle a lot with my anxiety, but since I got back to Puerto Rico, I haven't had like un episodio de depresión. In Nueva York, that was like the norm. And I learned a lot about New York too. Like, I was able to understand, hear and listen the stories of people that had never been able to connect with Puerto Rico. It really humbled me. Being in a space and just say, you know what, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to shut up because I haven't experienced what they have experienced. And yes, I do have a privilege of being able to connect to this land the way that I was able to connect. Like, I was born here. I was able to know a little bit about my history. Even if it's hard, I've been able to track some stuff. Hay gente que no conoce ni de dónde viene su familia. I know English and Spanish. There's a lot of people that don't know Spanish that don't understand Spanish, that feel threatened to come to Puerto Rico and talk English and be, que les traten mal o que les digan que son gringos. I was able to change and shift my narrative about y la narrativa de que la diáspora es la gente que tiene, ¿verdad? Que tiene recursos o que se van de Puerto Rico para tener recursos. Mira, las diásporas de Puerto Rico en Estados Unidos son bien diversas y en una ciudad como Nueva York tiene tantos layers que tú te quedas como wow. And hearing people with like being able to name the generation from where their family moved to Nueva York y ver esa distancia de los años con el presente es como, ¿sabes? Primera generación, la primera migración, cuando estaba la industrialización y que su familia perdió la conexión con la tierra desde ese momento porque se tuvieron que ir para Nueva York. That is hard. O personas que su familia, que no tienen conexión con Puerto Rico ni con sus ancestres porque su familia tuvo que irse para Nueva York porque son sobrevivientes de violencia de género intrafamiliar y que la acción fue, no, ¿verdad? Como que las mujeres de esta casa se tienen que irse de este país, de nuestra tierra, porque no se sienten seguras, no están seguras y se tienen que ir para una ciudad como Nueva York y perder la conexión con toda su familia. Hay muchas historias que it just shook me and it really changed my perspective. Y también me pasó que mientras estaba en Nueva York, la gente de la diáspora siempre me decían, no te identifiques de la diáspora, you're too young, you still have hope, you're just here like in this limbo, you just got here, you're not, don't say that, like, you're like in the in-between, me decían, como tú estás en el in-between, you're still there, you're still connected. Yes, you're experiencing the diaspora, but como que me traía mucho ese reflejo. Entonces, cuando yo regresé a Puerto Rico en el 2020, ahí en el regreso fue que de verdad yo me pude identificar como alguien de la diáspora. Quizás allá yo estaba todo el tiempo luchando, porque no, igual, like I traveled to Puerto Rico, all my work was connected to Puerto Rico. I was organizing in NYPR. I was organizing here too, like I was doing a lot of political work at the same time as I was struggling with everything and I was living in New York. Pero mucha gente me sentía como el referente a conectar con Puerto Rico porque acabo de llegar. Pero cuando yo regresé, ahora fue el golpe de decir, no, okay, coming back to Puerto Rico is not the same. I don't feel the same. I feel like I went through something that is different. I was feeling like disconnected from Puerto Rico because the Puerto Rico that I left in 2017 was not the same reality as 2020, and it's not the same reality as now. I was even struggling with some like understanding los apagones o cómo la infraestructura de Puerto Rico ha cambiado, se ha decrementado desde el huracán. Y me sentía como en cierto limbo. También sentía que necesitaba espacio de conversación con personas que estaban regresando y no encontraba con quién hablarlo, como que no podía hablar porque mis amistades pues no han salido la mayoría de Puerto Rico. Entonces mis amigas de la diáspora pues estaban en Nueva York, el epicentro de COVID, el joseo, like, the situation in New York was like, no había una oportunidad para tener una conversación. Y pues siempre la gente que está en mi familia escogida de Nueva York siempre estaban como en el push, como que stay. You need to stay, you know, like you need to stay in Puerto Rico, you need to go back. It's important, it's political, all of that. So quizás el tú poder nombrar like all the struggles that you're feeling when you're back, like you're trying to come back. So I connected to this friend that I met. Ella es de República Dominicana, se llama Isanet Batista. And ella estaba en su mismo proceso de regresar a República Dominicana, ¿verdad? Y yo le escribo como que, diablo, tú, like, and she starts talking about repatriation. We start texting, and, like, DM, y empezaba a contar su proceso de adaptación, su proceso de sanar y de reconectar o de conectar distinto en el proceso de regresar. Y ahí yo escuché ese término and it felt like, whoa, okay, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing, and this is a lot of healing. It's like a really deep process. Entonces después conecté con tu trabajo, like, yo dije, tiene que haber alguien en Puerto Rico que esté hablando de, o esté utilizando este concepto de repatriation, and I connected with your work. Ya yo sabía de ti, de tu trabajo, pero para mí fue importante sentir que no era, que los sentimientos y las emociones y los procesos que yo estaba sosteniendo no eran únicos. Y que el proceso de regresar o de reconectar con nuestra madre, con our motherlands, es un proceso de todos los días. Y para mí, en mi caso particular, ha sido volver a conectar con cosas que se me habían olvidado cuando estuve en Nueva York. Y como un detox de la ciudad, que ha sido difícil. Hay cosas que son difíciles y otras cosas que ha sido más fácil. Ha sido también como mi parte de Repatriate, ha sido conectar con la medicina de las plantas, con sembrar desde mi casa, porque yo vivo en la ciudad, ¿verdad? Aquí en Mayagüez, en el pueblo. También parte de Repatriate ha estado conectado a la oportunidad de poder tener un hogar. Because I've struggled with housing for so long. Repatriate ha sido no tener que dormir en la casa de otra persona, no dormir en el colchón ni en el sofá de otro, en mi propio cuarto. Empezar de nuevo a tener mis cosas. Soltar las cosas que dejé en Nueva York. Y si soy sincero, no es hasta un año después de regresar a Puerto Rico que tuve por primera vez mi primer apartamento. Y que no es a 2 años de regresar a Puerto Rico que ahora en enero del 2023 que tengo un espacio compartido que empiezo a sentir que es mi casa. So, ahora es que yo estoy empezando a sanar de ese movimiento, de ese brincachalco. Porque el Repatriate también tiene que venir del sentido de tu poder tener un espacio y sentirte parte de tener tu casa. Y también ha sido empezar a soñar, ok, si estoy aquí, ¿qué es lo que yo deseo? Quiero mi cantito de tierra. Porque es mi derecho y el derecho de nosotras tener nuestro cantito de tierra. Y ahora más que nada entiendo la importancia de la lucha en contra del desplazamiento como una lucha conectada con la diáspora.
Max me escribe, me sostuvo mucho mi espiritualidad. Esos tiempos de incertidumbre en NYC y en especial mi conexión con las orillas, mis altares y el journaling. I want to thank Max for sharing his journey with me at the studio session recording back in 2023 and his willingness to share that story, that journey, that recording with you all via this podcast. In addition to wanting to share his journey, Max also felt that he had left a significant part out of his story, and that is the role that spirituality played during those rough times that he spent in New York. Spirituality and creativity, how these became part of his daily practice that allowed him to carry himself spiritually, emotionally, physically through that experience. And so Max shared these photos with me and asked that I share them with everyone so that folks know these are the tools, these are the journeys and the trials and the challenges that we go through, but that we each have our own inner resources and our resources that go beyond physical or monetary resources, that our spiritual resources that we ourselves can tap into whenever, that we always have access to, give us that strength to get through these transitions that we must undergo in life.
You can tune into future episodes every new and full moon. For more information about the project, you can visit rematriatingbodigang.com. That's rematriating with an M and Bodygang with K-E-N. And Rematriating Body Gang is also on Instagram and Facebook. So you can follow us there. If you like this, please give a like and a share. If you want updates for future posts, subscribe to this channel on YouTube. And thank you again so much for listening. In light always. This is Yasmin.